Hello, welcome to the Nigerian Investors Podcast, the unofficial podcast that tracks and reports on the activities of the Nigerian bourse. My name is Moody, and with my colleague Ayi, we will be hosting this podcast. TNI Podcast is dedicated to stimulating a renewed enthusiasm among the general population with regard to the activities of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Ultimately, the goal of TNI is to see that many Nigerians from all walks of life, both at home and in the diasporas, become active participants on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Before we go further, we would like to place on record TNI podcast is solely for educational purposes and not a replacement for professional financial advice. Let's begin. Welcome back to the Nigerian Investor, where we break down the stock market in simple, practical ways for everyday Nigerians. In today's episode, we're answering a very important question. Who are the key players in the Nigerian stock market, and what roles do they play? If you've ever been confused about what the NGX, Registrars, Stockbrokers, CSCS, and Securities and Exchange Commission, as well as the listed companies actually do, this episode is for you. By the end, you will understand how all the moving parts fit together so you can invest with confidence. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible so you never miss our updates. Do that now before we dive in. Thank you. Before we go into each role, let's first understand that the Nigerian stock market is like a big football match. Different players have different responsibilities, but together they make the game possible. Now, let's break down each of these key players one by one. First, let's start with the NGX, the Nigerian Exchange Group. Think of the NGX as the actual marketplace where all the trading happens. This is where companies list their shares and where investors like you and I buy and sell through our brokers. The NGS sets the rules of the market and makes sure everything is transparent and fair. Without the NGS, there will be no stock market in Nigeria. Next, we have the registrars. These guys are like the record keepers of the stock market. Whenever you buy shares, the registrar updates the company's shareholders list with your name. They are also the ones who make sure you get your dividends, bonus shares, and right issues. So if you own United Capital shares, for instance, it is the registrar, African Prudential Registrars, that handles your dividend payment and keeps your records accurate. Next, stockbrokers. You can't just walk into NGX and buy shares directly. You need a licensed stockbroker to execute your trades. Brokers also provide advice, market data, and manage portfolios for their clients. Examples include Cardinal Stone, Meristem, and United Capital Securities. But here is what is changing the game. Apart from these traditional brokers that I just mentioned, there's been an increasing number of fintech companies like Cowrywise, Yosha, Bamboo, and Trove. These act as third-party affiliates to traditional stockbrokers, creating easy-to-use platforms for investors to buy and sell shares in the Nigerian stock market. This firm mainly target Gen Zs and younger investors with quick onboarding, intuitive app designs, and sleek user interfaces. Meanwhile, most traditional brokers still rely heavily on their website with little or no mobile app presence because their focus is more on high net worth individuals and older clients who are more likely not tech savvy. Up next is the CSCS, the Central Securities Clearing System. They act like the warehouse of the stock market. CSCS holds all your shares in electronic form and ensures that every trade is settled. So if you sell UBA shares today, CSCS makes sure your buyer gets the shares and you get your money smooth and safe. Now, who keeps everyone in check? That's the job of the Securities and Exchange Commission. They regulate the entire capital market NGX, brokers, registrars, even listed companies. They also approve IPOs, mergers, acquisition, and make sure no shady business is happening. In short, they are the police and judge of the Nigerian stock market. And finally, we have the listed companies. These are the actual businesses selling shares to the public. Examples include Dangote Cement, Presco, MTN Nigeria, Airtel Africa, UBA, Zenith Bank, Fidelity Bank, NACO, and so on. By listing on the NGX, they raise money from investors, and in return, they are required to provide quarterly and annual reports, pay dividends, and maintain transparency. Let's recap in simple terms. NGS is the marketplace, stockbrokers, the middlemen, registrars, the record keepers and dividend payers, CSCS, the warehouse as well as the clearinghouse, and the Securities and Exchange Commission, the regulator, and the police. Listed companies, they are the sellers of shares. Once you understand these players, you understand how the Nigerian stock market actually works. If you found this episode helpful, hit the like button so more Nigerians can see this video. Drop a comment below. Which of these players were you hearing about for the first time? And of course, subscribe to the Nigerian Investor Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and Audible for more practical investing content. Until next time, stay consistent, stay curious, and stay invested. Thank you for listening to another episode of the favorite podcast that brings insight to the Nigerian stock market. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To get more episodes like this, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, as well as on our website. All this information is available in the show note below this episode. Until we bring you another episode your way next week. Bye for now. TNI Podcast is executive produced by Moody. This episode was edited by Rona at Rock Quarry Village Studio.